I didn't watch this. Moon videos. Man. Oh, muted. Okay. Too easy. Okay. So first moon video we're doing, man. My hair's a mess for some reason, man. What's happening? What's happening? It doesn't matter anymore. Um, what's with this, man? What's happening? Okay. So basically, what is it? What is it? Whatever, man. Whatever. Just gonna keep it like that. Okay. Oh, it looks good actually. No, it doesn't. What is it? First one I'm watching, man, is Discord. Moon talking about Discord again, man. We already established the groom. What the? Cheese? Where'd you come from? Okay, first video. Cheese, yeah. Discord's worse than you thought, man. It's worse than you thought. How do you feel? Okay, it's time.
Discord's a lot worse than you think. On the surface, Discord appears like an innocent little app where normal, regular people go to speak to their friends and acquaintances.
I've seen so many. Okay, pausing it in 7 seconds already, man. Too easy. I feel cheesy. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, man. Okay. Man, he has double. I wish I had double monitors, man. But I have this phone. Wasting my phone battery, of course. But no. The weirdest people I've found is on Discord, man. Why are so many weird people on Discord? I don't get it.
But the more I looked into Discord, the more I realized the true depravity hiding on this app. Because trust me, that's a whole other side to Discord.
Evil.
The side that almost no one knows about. The part that Discord really doesn't want you to look at. We're talking about doxing servers, grooming, Discord mods, furries.
We know about like 3 out of 4 of them.
The people who fantasize eating
we know about
someone else.
5 out of 6 of it. Oh, what the?
Some of the most depraved acts imaginable. All of this hiding beneath the surface of the seemingly
innocuous
app. Facilitated and in some cases even promoted by the people.
What is that? What is this?
Running Discord, and it's time we talked about it. So for this video, we'll start with the more tame issues and then gradually proceed to the darkest corners of Discord. And trust me, it's gonna get nasty.
Disgusting, man.
So to begin with, let's talk about Discord's doxing problem. It's unsettling that most people know what doxing is these days, but if you're one of the lucky few that haven't heard of it, doxing is when someone exposes your personal information to the internet. This can include your—
Someone actually doxed me on stream one time, and they didn't even know it. I don't even want to talk about it, man. They were like, he said something, and I was really uncomfortable by it, but I played it off, man. Played it off. Too easy. Too easy. Okay, let me. I'm back. Okay. John Jones.
Your full name, age, address, and any pictures you might have taken of yourself. Doxing is by no means a specific problem for Discord, it's all over the internet. However, Discord is especially notorious for giving these pathetic doxers a platform to launch their attacks.
Pathetic.
In fact, there's entire servers dedicated to doxing and exposing private lives. Within these servers, people trade information on how to dox and organize their doxing attacks with each other. This means that the people who use these servers have lots more ways to expose people's private information, and sometimes the people who join these servers are also the main victims. One specific doxing server from 2017 even had its own guidebook, which included specific—
What'd you expect? You join a doxing server, you're gonna get doxed, man. Come on.
Instructions on how to do it. Using this, members of the server would dox their political opponents and anyone they thought deserved it. Another doxing server was made specifically to target vulnerable people on 4chan. Although 4chan is most famous for—
How is 4chan still alive, man? How is it still alive?
Political and random boards.
Is
The
it still
website
alive? I
also has
don't know
dozens of
anymore,
other
man.
boards, which each serve their own niche communities. One of these boards is R9K, an experimental board where the same message can't ever be posted twice. R9K's specific subculture is framed around loneliness and vulnerability. The users refer to themselves as robots and self-report to be social outcasts. There's no doubt that lots of the people who post on R9K have severe mental health issues and are therefore much more susceptible to exploitation. Which brings us back.
What the? Hi. The internet ruined everything. How are you? Oh my.
To predatory Discord servers. One Discord user, going by the name of Rico, formed a master plan to ruin the lives of R9K users, where he would organize a targeted campaign to convince R9K users to transition from male to female. His tactics were to promise that life would get easier, that these people wouldn't be lonely anymore and would become free of social anxiety. Obviously, none of these outcomes would happen if someone didn't already have gender dysphoria. In fact, transitioning could be incredibly harmful for these people. So then how could he convince these people? How could he show off his master plan to the Discord server? Well, first he would lure these people into his Discord server, and from there the rest of the server and himself would uncover all their personal information.
So weird, man.
Everything you can think of, all their dirty secrets. These people were doing advanced background checks on the most vulnerable, all by using their Prey's Discord data. Once they had the data, Rico would then go on to threaten people he doxed with swatting and leaking all their private information, unless they complied with his wishes. And this also leads on to swatting, which is a very common problem on Discord. In fact, people have actually died from this sort of thing. Like in 2017, when 28-year-old Andrew Finch opened his door one morning to find a full squad of police waiting for him, where he was unfortunately shot when the police thought he was reaching out for a weapon. But what's even more sick is that he had no connection to the swatter whatsoever. He just happened to live at the old address of the intended victim. And all of this attack just came from an argument over Call of Duty. And whilst children are often victims of the doxing and swatting servers, last year a spate of over 30 racially motivated swatting and bomb threats.
Man, this is so horrible. Man, if I ever get like famous and stuff, man, that's like one of my biggest fears, man. If I ever get famous, man, might die before that, to be honest.
Ravaging the US, police were perplexed by what seemed like a highly organized campaign of terror. Well, imagine the police's surprise when the attacks
some people shouldn't have computers, man.
And 3 children between the ages of 13 and 16 were found to be responsible. And what's so unsettling about the story isn't just the nature of the crimes, but also how easy they are to commit. It's through Discord's ability to bring like-minded people together that ends up being a double-edged sword for the app. But when it comes to the dark stories of Discord, we're only scratching the surface. This is nothing compared to the end of the video, because it's not the only thing that kids are being sucked into, which leads us on to a highly toxic aspect of Discord, and it all starts with a boy named Aja.
It's so weird.
Aja was an only child who found out about a runaway children's server from a YouTube video. This video would advertise a Discord group known as Runaway and Get a Life. After spending some time with the server, their plans would never turn out, and so he would form his own server with 7 other teens. Unlike the previous server he was in, where teens mostly just talked about their rough home lives, Aja specifically made sure his server's plans to run away would—
Yeah, why do they do that, man? They just talk about how they're suffering and stuff. I'm in one of those servers, one of those type of servers, man.
Older members in the chat room groomed Aja, offering him encouraging words and promised to meet up with him. So, Aja did just that, and left his family behind. His parents frantically contacted the police. And lucky for them, 13-year-olds aren't very perceptive, and the police were able to track him through, well, you guessed it, Discord.
Good job,
According
good
to
job.
The police, those in the server, quote, became their support system. They would share how they were upset after an argument with their parents or an altercation at school. And
Bro, why are one argument with their parents and all of a sudden they're evil, man? What? I don't understand.
Console each other and support each other to leave.
Oh,
but just think about this for a second. How many extreme ideas did you have during your formative years that never came to fruition because you had friends talk you out of it? Or you spent time just thinking about this stuff and you realized you were being stupid. You were just being emotional. But what if this was the other way round? Where your emotions were egged on, where your darkest fantasies were supported?
I was awake since 3 a.m.
You logged onto a Discord server where people egged you on. In this instance, Aja was lucky. A young boy in Louisiana was not. This boy, who was the same age as Aja, ran away under the encouragement of others via another Discord server. And it turned out that the people on the server were only pretending to be the same age.
Discord mods, of course. Oh no. My eye hurts, man. There's something in my eye right now. Ow, ow, it's something sharp or something. I don't know what it is. Ow, man. Okay, I'm back. Man. Can you play,
boy
please?
ended up being trafficked. And therein lies the problem with Discord's anonymity being a double-edged sword. While for the most part Discord servers allows adults to interface with one another under the shade of anonymity, imagine if someone pretending to be a teenager in that Discord server wasn't actually a teenager. Well, this happens every day. There are thousands of stories of pubescent girls and boys being contacted by groomers and creeps. Just a quick Google search
what was that?
Stories of pubescent girls and boys being contacted
I'm 14.
by groomers and creeps.
Why help me with my what?
Just a quick Google search with the keywords Discord groomer will just show you how prevalent this is. Because Discord really is this gigantic meta space where all kinds of creeps hang out. But the biggest creeps of all are the people running the show. From bannings to doxings, Discord mods seem to be the worst of humanity. Much like their Reddit counterparts, Discord mods seem to have the same power complex and enjoy ruling their virtual kingdoms.
I hate Reddit,
if you
man.
just look at Discord mod on Urban Dictionary, it tells you everything you need to know. And this is all for a reason, as Discord mod's reputation is earned. Most of these mods are just losers who have had no control over their own lives, living in their mother's basements. They've also probably fried their
that's kind of offensive, don't you think? Don't you think?
Receptors from being exposed to all sorts of lewd and extreme content all day, every day.
Why,
to
man?
be a Discord mod, you have to be a certain type of person. You have to volunteer yourself to put up with all kinds of insanity just to keep your power. I mean, last year, a TikTok content moderator with a similar position tried to sue the company for giving her PTSD, and this content moderator was actually paid. And yet, even with all of this, by being
what is this? Wait, we're going to the different circles of. Going through different steps. That's kind of cool, man. Wait, I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that, man. Behind me, right there, man. Right there. I keep doing that wrong. It's so annoying. It's like right here. No, over here, over here. I'll stop. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Moderator, she was traumatized from all the exposures to gore, CP, and general degeneracy, which inevitably destroys a person's brain.
Yeah,
and
like
TikTok
is so weird, man.
And you are seeing dead bodies and murders, or people celebrating having killed somebody, dogs being barbecued alive, and you are seeing these images.
There's a Reddit.
Bro, like there's this Discord server that had gore in it, man. And me and my friends took it down, man. It was so cool. But one of my friends' accounts got deleted, man. It was worth it though. We saw a video of someone getting shot in the head with a shotgun, man. It was so. It didn't seem real, man. It didn't look real. But it was real, man. It's so weird. I don't know how to feel about that still, man. To this day, I don't know, man. I don't have PTSD about it, but it's just really. I don't know, man. It's just crazy.
A thread where mods detailed some of the worst content they've seen on the servers, where spam accounts
Can't
will pop up
describe it,
all the
like it's a
time
new
and
feeling.
spam thousands of pictures of gore and CP into chat rooms. The mod is then left to handle all this dirty work,
So
reporting all
weird.
of this back to Discord. I mean, the Discord mods in this Reddit thread saw things that I can't even talk about on YouTube. And so with all this trauma, all this time and effort, all this stress, for what? There's no money here. Why are they doing this?
Exactly.
It takes a certain kind of person to want to wallow through all of that disgusting content for free. And so Discord is left with only a select few for the job, which is why Discord does seem to attract these dopamine-fried power trippers that want to control servers and other people. Here's just a few examples of these people. This screenshot is taken from one of those doxing servers we talked about.
Can someone take away their computers, please? If that happens, everything will be solved,
Quote,
to be honest.
reasons we are doxing. They said they don't like McCann or Junko. They think
Junko-
they're overrated. This Discord power user actually decided to dox someone. So why? Well, they had different opinions on anime characters. Never mind the fact that
Of
doxing is both
course,
illegal and
of course,
unethical.
of course.
The fact that these people go to such extreme measures over someone's anime opinions shows they're clearly detached from reality. In this example, this Discord mod used his position of power to try and convince a girl to play along with his dark fetishes. Keep in mind that the girl this creep is harassing was 14, and this kind of behavior is way too common with Discord. Discord
Ew.
seems to have a specific problem
Do you
with
have
this,
6
as
eyes,
the
man?
moral corruption from these moderators inevitably flows down into the servers that they manage. Combine this fact with how many of these perverted mods are out there, and you've got an easy recipe for a degenerate platform. Case in point, there's over 100,000 servers on Discord dedicated to all kinds of creepy fetishes. Fetishes like furries. Now, for those of you who are normal and don't know what a furry is, here it is from a furry spokesperson.
Let's start with the
It's a whole... There are 2 whole chapters of this, okay.
basic Google definition of a furry, which is an enthusiast for animal characters with human characteristics.
Yes, these are people who dress up as anthropomorphic animals. Now, there's multiple reasons for one becoming a furry. Furries are typically 18 to 35-year-old males. They usually have a very deep love for certain animal characters at a young age, along with a vivid imagination. This is usually coupled with dissatisfaction with their real personal lives and/or physical appearance. A perfect role for a Discord mod.
What the he had his nipples out and everything. It was kind of creepy.
Furries develop what's called a persona. A persona is where the person creates his own anthropomorphic cartoon character that best matches his physical preferences and personality traits. This persona then becomes the character of the furry he acts as. He then usually buys a custom-built fursuit that he wears when around other furries who are participating in, quote, zoo activities. Guys who pretend to be furries...
We're getting to zoo files already, man. Oh my...
also like to enjoy the freedom they receive from being able to act out their fantasies and personalities of their persona. And Discord is central to all of this. Discord is the hub of furries. In fact, it's through Discord that furry communities are built. With Discord
Don't get me started on zoo files,
public
man.
furry servers. All across these servers are furries connecting with other furries, just being their true selves.
Tony
They
Tiger.
share questionable art such as, quote, cub art. Now, what's this?
Oh my,
well, in
cub
January
is
2019, amidst Discord banning not
That's the furry version of CP, man. Guaranteed. There's no way.
about content on servers,
There's no way.
a user on Discord got in contact with a Discord admin named Tiny Feeks, an admin on a prominent furry server. The user asked if
Tiny
Cub and
Feeks.
Cub Play content was a violation of Discord's terms of service. Now, this might sound strange, but why was he even asking this in the first place? Well, because Cub content is the artistic rendition of young child animals, quote, involving themselves with older furry adults. And while furry content is prevalent on Discord and is permitted, this cub material seems to violate Discord's terms of service regarding CP. However, this Discord admin said that it didn't violate Discord's terms of service, which is strange considering the disgusting acts these pictures show. And then within days, the Discord admin's conversations were leaked online. And from there, more and more people began posting these similar screenshots of conversations they had with Discord's terms of service team. These conversations would reveal a herd of furry admins at Discord had let very questionable, quote, cub content remain on Discord servers. Worse, they not only...
Oh, the server that had the gore and stuff in it. Oh my, it was so messed up, man. It was disguised as a furry hangout place. And, oh my... Now that I really think about it, that's crazy. That's just crazy, man.
kept this gross content up, but they would also strike and ban anyone who questioned allowing this content on public servers. After a short back and forth, Discord would eventually tighten its moderation on cub content, with depictions of cubs and lollies being banned from Discord. However, this only became an issue due to the double standard that furry admins have been granted. See, furry culture runs deep on the app and all the way to the top. And with Discord being littered with these furry admins and mods, they then can promote the furry culture to the rest of the public. I mean, would most people even know what furries are in the first place if they hadn't seen a group of people online encouraging it? And while furries are mostly harmless, it's on these Discord servers where people
become a little bit weird,
extreme, normalizing disgusting and borderline illegal acts.
Oh my god.
Some of this extreme content catalyzing furries to turn into vories, an even worse consequence of Discord. So then what is a vory? Well, a vory is a furry who, from spending way too much time with other furries on Discord, comes to develop a fetish for either eating people or being eaten themselves. Yes, you heard that right. These people get off on the thought of being eaten or eating someone else. And this is known on Discord as vorophilia.
How is... What? So you're gonna like... No, I'm not gonna do anything. So you just like to
presence of these people on Discord is growing rapidly. There are 700 servers dedicated to the fetish of vor on Discord alone.
So
and
weird.
Thankfully, for the most part, people with this affection for vor never actually follow through with their strange eating habits. However, due to the nature of Discord, there is a pervasive community of people who once again encourage this awful behavior. And this degeneration gets much more dangerous when it affects people with real mental illnesses.
Of course.
There can be catastrophic effects when the focus of a group becomes the glamorization of mental illness rather than recovery. For example, anorexia. Anorexia is both one of the most common mental disorders and surprisingly the deadliest.
That's surprisingly deadly. This is crazy, man. Yeah, here we go. TikTok, it's been proven that TikTok has friggin' like increased people's emotional states, you know? Like depression and stuff by showing depressing TikToks. Man, that is so evil, man.
This is because anorexia's awful effects on the psyche of its victims cause them to starve themselves, which then leads to life-threatening illnesses caused by chronic malnourishment. And without treatment, up to 20% of eating disorders end in tragedy. This isn't talked about that much, which makes it much more disturbing that pro-anorexia servers have become so common on Discord. I mean, these
what was that one server?
Disturbing that pro-anorexia servers
Bones Gateway. I thought I said something else.
Become so common on Discord. I mean, these pro-ana servers are incredibly accessible. I managed to find multiple examples of this on the first page of Google by only searching for anorexia server. This makes it much more likely that young girls will find these servers when searching for a legitimate support group. Now, why do I say young girls? Well, because anorexia disproportionately affects teenage girls. Studies show that 4% of girls will develop anorexia in their teens.
4%.
And of those affected, half will also develop bulimia or other eating disorders. So then what actually goes on in these Discord servers? Well, users in these Discord servers engage in a culture which sees anorexia not as a mental illness, but as a lifestyle. They share tips for losing weight and hiding evidence of their disorder from family and friends and even from doctors. Tricks such as drinking excessive amounts
it's not a lifestyle if you have to hide it, man. That's not how it works.
Weighted bracelets to fool the scales are also discussed. Quote, thinspiration is also common, where users share pictures of dangerously skinny people in order to motivate each other's starvation. These servers often mask themselves as support groups as well, ensnaring vulnerable people looking for help. The owners of these servers also know their target demographic well. Of the ads I looked at, most advertised low age requirements. The lowest minimum I saw was only 12 years old. Starving oneself during—
Bro, there are people in Discord that are like 7 and 10. I've met some of them. That's... Oh, man. Why do parents give the internet access to little children, man? Why?
Puberty is especially dangerous. The body can't develop properly if it's running on empty. And now Discord does explicitly prohibit these servers in their guidelines. For example, they say do not share content that glorifies or promotes eating disorders such as anorexia or bulimia. However, despite this, it seems like Discord doesn't really care enough to enforce their own guidelines. I mean, just dozens of these servers populate Discord, the #1 site for public servers. And until Discord finds a proper solution for this problem, these servers will only continue to irreparably damage countless lives. But when it comes to depraved Discord stories, I've saved the worst till last. This last story began 20 years ago.
Christian, oh no.
Now, for those who don't know, Christian was the subject of innumerable documentaries, articles, and blogs. Christian first came to prominence when he
what it's called? I caught up with the Christian stuff in like a series of documentaries. Like 3 1.5 hour long videos on Christian, man. It's been crazy. It's crazy.
A series of comics detailing the story of Sonny Chu, a mashup of Sonic and Pikachu. His low-quality drawings and nonsensical plot lines quickly gained the attention from the wrong—
That's not even the half of it.
And once 4chan was evolved, this led to a long and sadistic campaign of trolling. But then, in 2021, this story took a much darker turn. You see, before Chris had transitioned and went by the name Christine, Christine was also the full-time carer of his elderly demented mother. This was after his house burnt down, with the flames being fueled by mountains of trash as a result of their hoarding habits. Christine and his mother had also been arrested for assaulting and attempting to run over the owner of a board game store. And this sordid history is directly linked to a successful campaign by trolls to fuel Christine's delusions. And by 2021, Christine was fully immersed in endless layers of nonsensical fantasies and deceptions. And in later—
to this day, she believes that she can see another dimension where all fictional characters exist, but only she can see it with her glasses on. If she puts on her glasses. Oh man,
July of 2021, a phone call was leaked where Christine discussed having relations with his mother.
So yeah, she's got really sensitive
Why are you saying that?
I don't believe Mr. C, any of her past boyfriends and ex-husbands, they haven't really reached in her G-spot.
The obvious aside, what made this even more awful was the fact that Christine's mother was 79 with dementia. Her vulnerability makes Christine's crimes all the more disgusting. But what was equally as disturbing was the person on the other side of the call. Because considering the awful nature of the conversation, the other person's manner was confusing. They didn't seem shocked or appalled. Instead, they were almost encouraging Christine to further abuse their mother. They asked for details and generally spoke like it was some everyday thing, and so the internet was quick to come up with answers. And after an organized investigation, the identity of the other person was revealed to be a student called Isabella Janker. And
that's actually her? I thought it was like footage of some random girl. She got a bed though. Wait, no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, man. This is actually serious. This is horrible. Holy man. Why? Also, she's autistic too, so taking advantage of an autistic person, man, that's really messed up. That's extremely messed up, man.
With this name came a tidal wave of depravity. Isabella had been involved in a wide array of crimes and general deviancy, with all of Bella's criminal sadistic misdeeds being centered around her Discord server, which she shared with several of her cronies. The server was called the Chess Club, named to sucker people in who were looking for a real Texas Tech chess club, and it was here that Bella had planned and discussed her plans to manipulating Christine into having relations with her mother. With all these messages, with all the manipulation, with all the criminal malevolence being recorded on Discord, Discord didn't do anything to stop it. Even though Discord does track everything you say on the app, Discord knew this was happening, and yet they did nothing about it. I mean, how were these people never caught by Discord? Especially when they have an automatic flagging system that flags and deletes servers instantly. And I mean, Discord doesn't just ignore the real threats either. The moderation team often bans normal users for the smallest infractions. I mean, there's just tons of story online of people being banned. Some for even just joking that they were underaged. For example, this user and his friend joked to each other that they must be 12 years old because they were playing Fortnite. Clearly, Discord's automatic systems would be reading their DMs because Discord banned all of the accounts, despite the incredibly obvious context for the joke. And so they tried to appeal to Discord and were told to send Discord photos of their IDs within 12 days. They all compiled this well before the deadline that Discord gave them, and so you would think that this would be enough to get their accounts unbanned. But no, Discord instead decided to ignore all of their messages, and after the deadline had passed, all of their accounts were deleted. It was then that Discord chose to reply, not to actually help, but just to tell them to make new accounts. This whack-a-mole strategy for policing its servers is the final nail in the coffin for Discord. It's a massive problem that they let all this depravity happen on their platform, all while banning innocent people. And unfortunately, there's no signs that anything's going to change anytime soon. If all these issues aren't properly addressed soon, Discord's growing reputation as the dark underbelly of the internet will only continue to get worse. And soon enough, Discord could become the new 4chan.
Oh no, not 4chan, man. Please, no. No, why, man? Why?
I have a quick important announcement to make. I'm sick of being demonetized on YouTube. I'm sick of censoring these videos for the YouTube algorithm. So this is gonna change. Every month, I'm gonna be releasing unfiltered, raw, controversial videos for YouTube members. Videos about the darkest corners of the internet, TikTok, the CIA, China, Rothschilds, and Mr. Robot's series review. And
we need to know this, man.
August, I'll be releasing a video on Ted Kaczynski, otherwise known as the Unabomber, where we'll talk about his story, going from a mathematical prodigy to living in the wild, sending bombs in the mail, and having his manifesto on the front page of the New York Times. Not only that, but by becoming a member of the channel, you'll have access to my Discord server to talk with other like-minded people, where every month I'll be doing a Q&A for all your questions. And if you're still not happy with your membership in the first month, I will personally refund you. All you have to do is email me. So if you want to watch exclusive, unfiltered, controversial videos that I can't release to the public, which includes access to my server and a monthly Q&A, join my channel for only $5.99 a month. This will also help us out a ton too in making these videos. And if you want to support the channel even more, I will hard code your name into my videos for only £3 more.
Man, if I had money, I'd support you, man, I swear. But I don't have anything like that, so... Well, Breaking Bad teaches us about politics. Oh no. And politics has ruined America. That's crazy. Man.
Disney is one of the most
Wait, man. Okay. Okay. As you heard, Disney, most evil business in the world, just like every other business. But yeah, Disney. They are really weird. Disney man. I don't know what's with them.
Disney is one of the most evil companies in the world, which might sound kind of strange. How could the company behind Mickey Mouse, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Aladdin, and Frozen
They're actual Nazis, man.
I mean, Disney was everyone's childhood.
I'm pretty sure they actually are a little bit.
By their beauty and elegance. Even today, our favorite films are from Disney. In fact, in 2020, 7 of the top 10 highest-grossing films were made by Disney. But trust me when I say that Disney isn't the company that you think it is. Disney is a ruthless monopoly.
People still think that Disney's like amazing.
Landscape. Owning Marvel, Pixar, Lucasfilms, 20th Century Fox, Vice, The
They
History
do?
Channel, ESPN, and just so many
The
more.
History Channel.
Homogenizing the world's creativity.
Okay,
They are
I don't know
also one
about.
of the 6
I didn't know
companies that have
about
consolidated
that.
control of nearly all American media, and they are run by ruthless, faceless executives squeezing every penny they can from our childhood nostalgia. It's gotten to a point now where Disney is so ruthless for money that they even threaten to sue the parents of a dead child for putting Spider-Man on their 4-year-old's grave. All because they were ruining the innocence and magic of their characters. Also that Disney can get every penny.
It wasn't just to begin with,
it's
Bozo.
why Disney removes black people from their posters in China. It's why the company apologizes for mentioning Taiwan and praises the government officials committing a genocide as we speak. And with their recent movies like Lightyear failing to break even and flopping at the box office, it seems like Disney is now on a downward spiral, with their stock price going from almost $200 a share to $95 a share. Something has gone very wrong for Disney. This isn't the same company we grew up with. Somewhere something went drastically wrong, and after spending countless hours trying to figure this out, trust me when I say that the story of Disney is a rabbit hole.
I've never seen Alice in Wonderland. I've never seen that.
But before we continue, I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Galaxy Lamps. The Galaxy Lamp 2.0 is the perfect mood setter, coming with a ton of different
TikTok lights. I don't really care. That was a fast ad.
By making sure to click the link in the description below. The story of Disney begins back in December 5th, 1901, when a man named Walt Elias Disney was born. Walt was a gifted artist and drew regularly throughout his childhood, with some of the cartoons being showcased in military newspapers during World War I. But back
for a long
Walt
time.
understood that drawings wouldn't make him rich. He was unemployed, and there were just so many cartoon artists across the world, it was almost impossible to stand out. So how could Walt become rich while selling cartoons? This seemed near impossible, because drawing cartoons alone wasn't going to be enough. So Walt had to think outside of the box, and that was when Walt noticed the growing industry of animation. Back then, the main animations involved stop motion with objects, puppets, clay or cutouts, and drawn or painted animations. After noticing the untapped industry of drawn animations, Walt would begin to go all in on animation, partnering up with fellow artist Ub Iwerks.
It's really crazy how back in the old days, man, they used to draw each frame like a flip book and then do that. Man.
Man who would soon become his partner and close friend. At the start,
I can't imagine adults doing that, man. I just can't.
City film ad
I don't know why I just can't.
They later considered starting a new business that would draw cartoons for a local theatre, an idea which ended up becoming Walt's first company, Laugh-O-Gram Studios. Although this venture didn't work out too well, and went bust in just a couple of years. It was this failure that left Walt even more determined to succeed, and so he left for Missouri for Hollywood, saving nothing for the swim back, bringing with him just a 12.5-minute film he and Ub were working on. This film was called Alice's Wonderland, and to their luck, the short film was purchased, resulting in the creation of their new company on October 16th, 1923, the Walt Disney Company. The initial business was a joint partnership between Walt and his brother Roy Disney. In less than 3 years, Disney produced 2 movies and even purchased their own studio in Hollywood. A few years later, in 1927, and Disney created Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. It was one of their first cartoon characters to ever have a personality. As outlined by Walt himself, quote, "Hereafter we will aim to make Oswald a young character, peppy, alert, saucy, and venturesome.
Saucy.
Also neat and trim." With Oswald, Walt began to explore the concept of personality animation, in which cartoon characters were defined as individuals through their movements, mannerisms,
man, I only have one nostril to breathe through, man. If you can hear that, I'm sorry.
Simply by their design. Walt had expressed, quote, "I want the characters to be somebody. I don't want them to just be a drawing." In order to make his Oswald cartoons look real, Disney turned away from the stars of Felix the Cat, Coco the Clown, Crazy Cat, and Julius the Cat, and began emulating the camera angles, effects, and editing of live-action films at the time, because Walt didn't want his new character to simply just be a prop for gags. Instead, he explained that his intention was to make, quote, Oswald peculiarly and typically Oswald. And by doing this with Oswald, Walt was creating groundbreaking innovation in animation and would soon go on to change the course of animated cartoons forever. However, other people were noticing this and wanted a piece of the pie themselves. And that's why in 1928, Walt was faced with disaster. Because while Oswald was successful,
when he was 27, that's crazy.
Because when Disney wanted to negotiate a larger fee for producing the Oswald series, the film producer Charles Mintz wanted to instead reduce payments. Mintz had also persuaded many of the artists working for Disney
how do
to
they
actually
do
work
that,
for
man?
himself. Mintz
They just flip it like, and then just keep drawing. How do they know that they're not drawing in the wrong spot?
actually threatened to start his own studio
How
and
did they do
produce
that?
the series himself if Disney refused to bow down to the threat, causing him to lose most of his animation crew and the
Then
money for
Oswald
the project. Disney
never
was now
seen
back
again.
at rock bottom. He had to create something big and fast in order to keep the company afloat.
Mickey Mouse.
Luckily, Walt did have a trick up his sleeve.
Mickey Mouse.
During this heated period between Mintz and Walt had created Mickey Mouse. The mouse was created privately while Disney completed the Oswald cartoons.
Too easy.
He did this to hide away from Charles Mintz, as he never trusted the film producer, even though by creating Mickey Mouse, he was breaking the contract. At the time, Disney was commissioning Up Iwerks to begin developing a new character concept. This was a stressful time because Disney didn't like any of the concepts. All the designs of different animals, including dogs and cats, just weren't appealing. But that was, apart from one, Mickey Mouse. So Disney went through with the production of Mickey Mouse in private, with the character actually being voiced by Walt Disney himself. Following the principles of personality animation that he originally learned through his Oswald character, Walt's artistic style made Mickey one of the world's most recognizable fictional characters. His first debut in Steamboat Willie was an immediate sensation and led to Disney's dominance in the animated market for many years. Not long after, Disney started introducing many other well-known characters, including Minnie Mouse, Goofy, and Donald Duck, and it seemed like everything was turning for Walt. His empire was expanding, his cartoons internationally recognized, he'd grown his team enormously, and his growth had far overtaken Mintz's. He seemed to have gotten the perfect revenge, but behind this golden surface was an impending disaster, with Walt being betrayed by the distributor for Mickey Mouse, Pat Powers. You see, Pat had gotten Walt to sign a dodgy contract with Universal Pictures, where they would take the vast amount of profits from Mickey Mouse, leaving Walt feeling underpaid. And at the same time, Pat would then convince Walt's close partner Ub Iwerks, the guy who designed Mickey Mouse, the guy central to Disney's success, to now abandon Disney. With Walt being betrayed and losing his close partner, he would go on to have a nervous breakdown.
That sounded so sarcastic, I'm sorry.
He decided to take a break abroad in Cuba with his wife. But this break would do wonders for Disney. Restoring his mental health, ambition, and team, he returned a few years later in 1931 to sign Disney into a contract with Columbia Pictures, allowing Disney to now distribute their cartoons in Technicolor. This new color technique would be used in their Silly Symphony series, allowing Disney to win its first Academy Award for Best Cartoon in 1932. And the experience they gained with color animations and the increase in funds led them to start working on their first full-length film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. When they released this film in 1938, it would go on to become the highest-grossing film of all time. But once again, big challenges were just around the corner for the...
I never knew why it was called grossing. What is it, like gross that it made that much money? Is that how it works?
Disney company.
Like, I'm so confused. How does that work?
In 1939,
golden years,
began, disrupting the world economy irreparably, and Disney was feeling the impact. Because while Disney was reeling on the success of Snow White, the studio was producing Pinocchio in early 1938, along with Fantasia in November of the same year. Both of these films were then released in 1940.
I've never seen Fantasia.
Neither performed well at the box office. Not because the films were bad, but because the European market had vanished. No one was going to the cinema to watch Disney films when bombs were hailing across the continent, which is why the studio made a loss on both pictures and was deeply in debt by the end of February 1941. In response to this financial crisis, Disney and his brother Roy would take the company public. And to please their new investors, Disney would have to take drastic measures that would include massive salary cuts, which would eventually cause
Disney was really Disney.
strike in 1941,
Never knew
which
that.
would go on for 5 weeks,
I didn't know
crippling
that. It's
the
just
company even more.
so hard
the
to
only
believe.
way Disney was really making money anymore was through its anti-German and anti-Japanese propaganda films for the US military. However, by scraping the barrel for money, Disney managed to survive the war, and was then able to start focusing on original material once again. They initially found it difficult to pick up where it had left off, but 1950 proved to be a turning point, thanks to the success of their first live-action film, Treasure Island. Because of the success, Disney now had more money to launch several television series, with their first one, Mickey Mouse Club, making its debut in 1955. And again, this was an even bigger hit, with the 50s being the absolute golden years for Disney. And with all their mounting successes in this period, Disney would open their first theme park in California. Throughout this entire stretch, there seemed to be no issues. Everything they were producing was a massive hit. They were gaining worldwide recognition, and Disney would seem unstoppable. But after more than a decade of major successes, again something devastating would happen to the Disney company. On November 30th, 1966, Walt Disney would die as a result of his ongoing lung cancer complications, meaning his brother Roy Disney would take over the business. Although in less than 5 years, the investors wanted him to be replaced, causing the Disney family to be succeeded by an executive team in 1971, marking the end of the family name's leadership in the company.
Disney is no longer a family company, man. It's just now a hollow corporation.
And would also mark a major shift in Disney's future. Out were the days of handmade original Disney productions. In was the corporatized, hollowed out Disney. The focus now
that's what I just said.
As much money as humanly possible. And so in the following decades, Disney would start taking advantage of merchandising opportunities. It would produce more feature films and construct numerous projects around the globe, including the first international theme park in Tokyo during
there's so many remakes of the old
everything
things.
Did look good on the surface, the company was noticeably different after Walt's death. You see, during the early 1980s, American movie making was changing. Audiences were just less interested in the family films that had been the mainstay of Disney for many years, and the company was just now not meeting the standards of their competition. Disney's competition was making films garner towards the prolific teenage and adult market, something that Disney couldn't catch up with. And at the same time, because of the widespread perception that Disney stock was undervalued relative to the company's assets, there were several hostile takeover attempts of the company. And so to strengthen Disney from this assault, shareholders brought in Michael Eisner as the new CEO. And this is when Disney completely changed, because unlike most higher-ups currently working there, Michael Eisner was the first well-connected Hollywood executive who would bring the company back into the mainstream. Shortly after joining Disney, Eisner realized that the company was sitting on an untapped goldmine of intellectual property that could easily be modernized for their own standalone films. And so from 1989 to 1994, Disney would enter a Renaissance era, launching classics such as The Little Mermaid and Aladdin, which would go on to revive the company and bring
that was made under him.
Massively.
I didn't know that.
With the rise in its audience share, the more people that would visit Disney's theme parks. However, this streak wouldn't last that long.
Bro, Cinderella used to scare me
Eisner
a lot.
started making very questionable
like
business decisions that made others doubt his ability to carry out his position as CEO. For example, long jealous of Tokyo's Disneyland riches and frustrated by being left out of the profits, Eisner vowed to create a new international resort in Paris. He saw this as the mechanism that would further catapult Disney's success. However, at the start, this international resort was a total disaster. Disneyland Paris lost the company a ton of money and brought it into major financial trouble. And because of this, investors were pulling out of Disney. And so because of Disneyland Paris' failure to make money, Eisner would begin making dramatic reductions in theme park spending, which would of course impact the constructions of new parks, as well as the maintenance, cleanliness, and safety of the already existing parks. This would then go on to cause Disney even more troubles. And this was seen in 1998. While a couple was waiting to board the sailing ship Columbia, one of the tamest rides at Disneyland, the 34-year-old man and his wife were struck in the head by a huge piece of metal flung from the ship. The steel was intended to secure the ship to the dock, but instead it was violently torn from the hull and thrown into the throng, killing the man and disfiguring his wife, becoming one of the most abhorrent events in the history of theme parks, all because of Eisner pulling out funds for the parks, highlighting just how drastically the Disney company had turned under the leadership of Michael Eisner. The man who saved Walt Disney was now making one bad decision after another. There were many other blunders from Eisner as well, like Disney's failed attempt at an AOL-style internet portal, which would become an embarrassing joke for the company. Not to mention all the regular infighting amongst executive staff, and eventually the straw that broke the camel's back, appointing his friend Michael Ovitz as president of the company. By causing this decline in Disney's reputation, along with pushing investors out of the company, Disney's executive team was forced to fire Eisner and pay him $140 million to finally remove him from the CEO position. The whole debacle was a complete disaster for Disney, both financially as well as in the eyes of the public.
Man, all these people are ruining Disney. Hire me, man. I'll make Disney better. I'll make it much, much better, man. New movies, new original ideas. I know exactly what to do. It's gonna be a rat movie, Ratatouille the sequel, you know? Very original. Let me just do something real quick. Yeah. I'll make Disney better, man. Make Disney great again. Oh, it hurts, man. It hurts. Got the new Yeezys. Okay. Wait. I completely forgot to turn on my yeah, there we go. Hello. I'm back. I'm not shirtless. Don't worry. Okay, there we go.
In 2005, Bob Iger, a former weatherman, took over the role of CEO, and this would seemingly be a great move for Disney, as after intense negotiations between Bob Iger and Steve Jobs, Disney would go on to purchase its biggest competitor, Pixar. This was mainly because Pixar was taking away a huge part of Disney's market share, releasing huge films like Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles. And while this was happening under Iger's reign, Disney was losing its popularity. The public seemingly wanted Pixar more than Disney, but with Pixar now under the Disney umbrella, the market was completely under Disney's control, going on to produce more and more 3D animated films such as Moana and Coco. But Disney wouldn't stop there, because in 2009, Disney later bought Marvel Studios, which was one of the first of many acquisitions that would increase Disney's monopoly of the entertainment industry. And this was Disney's new strategy. Instead of focusing on their
and now all those companies are dying, and in turn Disney's dying too. It's amazing how they ruin other companies, other beautiful companies.
All its competition. And that's why over the last 10 years, the business tactics of Bob Iger have resulted in Disney cornering the entire entertainment industry. Disney has since bought a slew of major studios, television stations, and intellectual properties, including Lucasfilms, ABC, ESPN, 21st Century Fox, and just way too many other things to list off in this video. I mean, it's literally gotten to a point now that many are calling for Disney to be broken up due to ongoing concerns. And so with all this backstory in mind, you might start to notice a trend. Most of the defining moments of Disney are during leadership changes. And that's why it's important we talk about Disney's new CEO, Bob Chapek. Bob Chapek comes from a retail background and is known for cutting costs, placing an emphasis on merchandise at the expense of media. Disney investors and the executives want Chapek to make more profits, which isn't a major shock. But what more can Disney do when it's cornered the entire US market? There's nothing else to control. It's getting harder and harder for Disney to expand. It's conquered the European, Latin American, and American markets.
If you make something, if you take your time to make something,
it shouldn't be any surprise that Disney has now been further expanding their relationship with China, whilst also trying to please its biggest investors like BlackRock by pandering to their political beliefs.
Man, that's kind of crazy, man. But I was going to say something I forgot.
Causing Disney's content in recent years to take a much weirder turn, and the results of this have become very apparent in just the last couple of years. In recent years, Disney has been forced to pander heavily to their investors. With their new cost-cutting, ruthless executives, Disney is doing everything it can to maintain its growth. And this behavior has been going on for a few years now. However, you'd think by doing this sort of thing that it would be a PR disaster for the company. And yet, they haven't really stopped. In fact, the company has become even more morally bankrupt. For example, they've become so desperate to squeeze even more money that they actually refused grieving parents to put a picture of Spider-Man on their 4-year-old's grave. All because Disney wanted to, quote, preserve the magic and innocence of its characters. Unless, of course, the father paid them a handsome fee. However, trust me, this is only the start here. Because Disney is unironically supporting genocide in China. You see, behind closed doors in Hollywood, nearly every producer has to regularly self-censor their content, all in an effort to appease the Chinese government. And Disney is no exception. Due to China's massive 1.4 billion population, that equates to a ton of money. And so
1/7 of the whole population of Earth is in China? Are you serious?
The movie companies want to be sure to tap into the Chinese market, and with China's limited movie output, it means Western companies like Disney will have little competition. But there's a catch. China only allows 34 foreign films to be shown in the country annually. So not only is the competition huge amongst American movie companies, it's even fierce when factoring all the movie companies around the world that want to tap into the Chinese market. And so for your movie to be chosen for screening, you have to make sure it's absolutely squeaky clean for the Chinese censors, which means removing any negative depictions of China, but it also means you have to praise China. You have to be as non-threatening as possible. And these requirements don't just apply to the films being released. No, this involves all the production team. If these rules are broken by the actors, producers, or distributors, or anyone else, they will all be banned from the country without a second thought, causing these giant movie companies to lose billions of dollars. Disney figured this out firsthand when they distributed a film about Tibetan oppression from the Chinese called Kundun, which temporarily got the company blacklisted from China. To revoke this ban, the then CEO had to profusely apologize and even hired the former Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, to prevent a total fallout with the country.
After this incident,
Disney had to jump through so many hoops just to get back in China's good books, which included buying multiple Chinese film distribution rights, hiring Chinese performance groups, and making plans to open a theme park in Shanghai. And Disney has since scrubbed all their involvement with the film. And as you may have guessed, this was when Eisner was CEO.
Ow.
He said,
My
quote,
jaw
"The bad
hurts.
news is that the film was made. The good news is that nobody watched it. I want to apologize, and in the future we should prevent this sort of thing, which insults our Chinese friends." In addition to the talks of genocide perpetuated by China being forbidden, there can also be no mention of Taiwan at all in Hollywood. I mean, just to give an example of how strict the rules are when it comes to any reference of the country, Top Gun Maverick is now facing a ban in China because of a single shot containing a Taiwanese patch on the protagonist's jacket.
One single... Why are they so strict? Why are they so mad at Taiwan? No, I have to find this out. I have to find out why. After this, I'm gonna search a video why China hates Taiwan so much. What did I do? What did I do? I don't get it, man. I need to catch up on the lore. On the real life lore, man. I need to find out the lore, man. I need to find out. I opened Discord on accident. Of course I did. Oh no. Checking for updates. Yeah, don't care. Oh no, it's time. Discord. No. Just no. Stop. There you go. We're good now.
This was after the film distributor Paramount Pictures refused to cater to the CCP's demands, saying they would not edit the flag out. But on the other side of the coin, refusing such orders from China is something Disney would never even dream of. China is their main market now. I mean, just look at the disaster of a film called Mulan, which was supposed to be an easy slam dunk remake of the 1998 original, which turned out to be a financial and public embarrassment for the company, both in their Western and Chinese audience. Despite the movie's blatant pandering to the CCP, it still bombed at the premiere in China and lost $130 million at the box office. In addition, Disney quite distastefully gave thanks during the end credits of the film to 8 government entities in Xinjiang for allowing them to film there. And for those who don't know, this is the same region as the ongoing Uyghur genocide in China.
From Chinese police computers,
why are they killing? What?
The western region of Xinjiang are shot on sight if they're caught trying to escape. Thousands of photos shed light on a secretive system of mass incarceration.
Yes, Disney is quite literally praising the people committing genocide in China. However, Disney's pandering to China's authoritarian regime doesn't just stop there. Just look at the comparison of their box art for Star Wars The Force Awakens in the West and in China. They literally had to remove John Bottger to cater to the Chinese government's demands. And it was the same thing with the Black Panther movie, where they had to completely cover the protagonist's face on the Chinese version of the poster. Which is funny considering that back at home, Disney's very happy to hand out the...
Bro, I imagine that Chinese people are like so racist because they don't like that. They're after they buy the Black Panther, they're like, what? What is this?
White privilege checklists for employees, along with an internal program with a series of training modules about anti-racism. I mean, Disney's always lecturing their workers about how they must not, quote, question black colleagues' lived experiences and challenge colorblind ideologies and rhetoric, whilst also having staff recommended reading material,
what does that mean?
Things like 75 things white people can do for racial justice, and your kids are not too young to talk about race. However, meanwhile, they censored black people from their movie posters and actively supported governments committing genocide that also carries out racial segregation. And yet, Disney's former CEO, Bob Iger,
they are racist. They are racist.
Quote, taking a stand on political issues, and that it will no longer shy away from politics in the future. A statement that's also likely caused by another sinister, bureaucratic, authoritarian regime, BlackRock. BlackRock is one of Disney's top shareholders, owning nearly 150 million shares in the company. Now, for those of you who don't know, BlackRock is the shadowy investment management firm that oversees roughly 10% of all stocks traded worldwide, which amounts to about $10 trillion in assets. In the words of Bloomberg, BlackRock is effectively a fourth branch of government, and with BlackRock's founder and CEO Larry Fink's personal connections with the former Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, BlackRock has been able to control multiple major banks, with Larry Fink largely being regarded as the most powerful man in America. And because of this, most investors and banks follow BlackRock's ESG ratings to know whether or not they should put their funds into a company. Now, an ESG rating, according to BlackRock, measures a company's exposure to long-term environmental and governance risks. These risks include things like energy efficiency, worker safety, and board independence, all of which will cause companies to have significant financial consequences if they're not followed properly. However, in 2018, this ESG score was modified when Larry wrote a letter telling all the companies under his thumb to, quote, contribute to society or risk losing our support. thought, adding that society is demanding that companies, both public and private, serve a social purpose. And now, of course, Disney being run by the most ruthless executives.
They can't just exist anymore. They have to do something. Okay, that's crazy.
Which is why Disney has the second highest ESG rating in the entertainment industry. And that's also why in the last couple of years, Disney has been at the forefront of this new woke push.
Goes woke, okay.
Political. Like the time they vehemently opposed Florida's new public education bill. A bill that stops teachers educating children below 3rd grade about sex and gender. So why is Disney suddenly becoming so randomly opposed to this one bill? Why is a multi-billion-dollar company giving their input on the way grade school education is handled in the state of Florida? Disney has never done anything like this before. This is only happening after BlackRock changing their ESG rating, but their strict adherence to this ESG rating is causing Disney to now be faced with even bigger challenges, as it looks like the Disney company is currently taking some big financial hits. While Paramount Pictures claims they won't bow down to China or ESG scores, releasing Top Gun Maverick free from censorship, Paramount Pictures is now seeing huge success, with Top Gun Maverick cracking over $1 billion box office worldwide. A film that entertained audiences worldwide. A film that refused to denounce Taiwan and quote toxic masculinity.
That's delicious, man.
It's a film that just isn't political. And at the same time, Disney's $200 million budget Lightyear film gained only $150 million in sales. Because yet again, it was Disney's attempt at stuffing corporate wokeness down their audiences' throats. And right now, Disney stock prices
do what you want,
going from $200 down to only $90.
Life is amazing, man.
Becoming more and more dependent on their theme parks rather than their core content, what Disney had originally pioneered. And with their new upcoming Baymax movie being reportedly about a non-binary Michelin man using female sanitary products, I can't really imagine kids.
It's a guy, bro. Calm down. No.
Perhaps Disney is going the route of Netflix, where their ruthless adherence to their
it's a robot.
and money at all costs attitude might now kill the Disney monopoly.
That
Disney,
Mickey Mouse picture is crazy.
Animation, cartoons, and generating beautiful allegorical stories that would transcend time and generations, is now becoming everything it sought to destroy. A hollowed-out, decrepit shell of a company, suing hospices, grieving parents, forcing wokeness amongst the apathetic masses, and supporting genocidal regimes, neglecting stories and entertainment for greed and power, causing their stock price to plummet and fans to become tired and wary of the company. Which is why Disney serves as a warning of how all beautiful things eventually become sour.
Man, and now everyone's getting tired of Marvel. Pixar isn't doing so good anymore, man. Disney, just get the out, man. Just get the out. Just get the out, man. We don't want you anymore, man. You're disgusting. Because you support China. And because genocide, yeah. No, but in all seriousness, what is it? I need to find out why China hates Taiwan so much, man. Okay, hold on, Moon. I need before we go to your last video, I need to find out why. Why does China hate Is that how you spell it? Taiwan? Is it, wait. Taiwan. How do you spell Taiwan, man? Okay, 7 years ago. What the? Is Taiwan part of China? It's a 3-minute video, but it's good. Let me see. Okay. Go to New Year's. Okay. Wrong thing. Can you just hold on? Thank you. Holy. Okay.
Since 1949, both Taiwan's government, the Republic of China, and mainland China's government, the People's Republic of China, have claimed validity as the legitimate and only China. So what's going on? Which is the real China, and why do the two countries hate each other? Now, a small disclaimer, we use these names to simplify the issue and are not siding with one or the other. So there used to be a single China under a single government, but in 1949, during the Chinese Civil War, the Communist Party forced the ruling government of China to flee. They went to Taiwan, an ex-Japanese-owned island separated from mainland China by the Taiwan Strait.
Okay.
The Communist Party instituted themselves as the new Chinese government, and the two governments continued their war. The US, NATO, and most Western nations recognized the exiled Taiwanese government as legitimate. Meanwhile, the Soviet bloc and a few other countries recognized the new communist government instead. However, in 1979, the United States switched allegiances from the old Chinese government to the new communist one in order to gain influence against the Soviet Union. Mainland China then reached out to Taiwan with a three links attempt to normalize relations. The three links were transportation, commerce, and communication. In response, Taiwan implemented their three no's foreign policy with mainland China: no contact, no compromise.
That's how you spell nose?
Negotiation. But by 1987, Taiwan began allowing residents to visit mainland China, and both countries established institutions to deal with governmental relations. Interestingly, since there has never been a formal declaration of peace from either side, both countries are technically still at war today. In 1992, the two governments came to a consensus, acknowledging that there was only one China and that each believed themselves to be it. Basically, they agreed to disagree, which has let the two discuss negotiations without being bogged down on this primary issue. The opposition to this consensus has been the movement to make Taiwan an independent country with its own separate national identity. A third solution, called One Country, Two Systems, would establish Taiwan as one of China's autonomous regions like Hong Kong or Macau. However, in 2005, the mainland Chinese passed a law to prevent Taiwan from seceding by authorizing non-peaceful means to unify Taiwan back into mainland China. Since a number of groups in Taiwan want to establish independence, this law could cause a military showdown between the two countries, something Taiwan is eager to avoid. At the same time, many in Taiwan are content with the status quo of mutually denying each other's legitimacy. Since then, a 2014 meeting between officials from both countries marked the first direct government contact since 1949. From this meeting and several high-profile negotiations in the late 2000s, the two countries have attempted to
having dinner together. What's happening?
Trade, healthcare, and travel relations. However, the two countries still seem far from reconciliation due to the complicated and sometimes paradoxical nature of their dispute. Although each region has a unique story, China also has ongoing disputes with both Hong Kong and Tibet.
Basically, I have no idea. That didn't teach me anything. I did not. He lost me, to be honest. So basically, it's because of war. But then I was on the past, man. I was on the past. Why would you do that? Okay. No, last moon video. Last one, man. Ow, ow, man. My freaking hand. Ow. Okay. What do I do? Ooh, okay. Last video, man. I'm feeling a little sleepy. I've been awake since 3 a.m. That's not a good sign, is it? We gotta do something about this. We gotta get more energetic. Come on, man. More dramatized. Come on. Instagram. I don't understand how people use Instagram. My friends, people that I know, they use Instagram like a lot. I don't know why. I can't see the appeal. I go on Instagram. I go do the things. I think, man, I don't know how to use Instagram. I go to discover, search up stuff, and then do they just scroll like TikTok? Is that what they do? I don't get it. But the moment Instagram changed society forever. I don't know if it's that big of a deal, man. But it's owned by Mark Zuckerberg, so it's just kind of crazy. So
Instagram is destroying society, but Instagram used to be a great site. It was founded by a man who rejected employment at 3 of the biggest tech firms, Twitter, Facebook, and Google, because instead the founder wants to make a positive change on the internet. His app's algorithms and ads would be hand-selected by him and only his tiny team.
That sounds so nice. But now it's taken over by Facebook, of course.
Which is why Instagram rejected data harvesting. They rejected the toxic aspects of social media to create something healthy, something that would revolutionize photo sharing and photography. By doing this, Instagram amassed 10 million users in just 10 months of its launch. But then something changed. Instagram turned into everything it sought to destroy, becoming widely regarded as the...
I hate the theme of all these companies that start off good. They're all turning into the things they hate, man. I don't like this. I don't like this, man. I don't think there'll be any good companies in the future, man. All the companies in the future, they're just gonna be evil. evil, hollowed out versions of themselves, man.
The worst social media site for our mental health, with 400 million Instagram users now feeling unattractive, leading to the term Instagram reality going mainstream. And of course, this has resulted in skyrocketing
I completely forgot about
depression,
that.
anxiety, and eating disorders. With Instagram,
all because of Photoshop. You know, the real problem isn't Instagram; it's Photoshop. Photoshop is the true problem. All these girls, all these quote unquote models, men on Facebook, that post pictures of them on the beach, man. That photo shoot. That do they photos, man. They use Photoshop. Kind of crazy. Wait, aren't there filters that do that actually instead? I'm pretty sure there are. I don't use Instagram.
Harmful for a sizable percentage of teens. All of this, and yet Instagram is now planning to release a version of the app for children under the age of 13.
Why?
So what's behind the change in the app? What made Instagram so toxic? Well, once you understand how...
For under 13? Bro, they're not supposed to have phones. Bro, in the future, when people are born, they're gonna immediately just give them a tiny phone, like a tiny phone. And it's just gonna tell them what to press and stuff, and then all of a sudden, boom, just the phone is gonna raise them. Parents are just gonna watch. So stupid,
Zuckerberg
man.
manipulated Instagram and its co-founders for personal gain.
You lizard.
The bigger picture of what Instagram
You weird
really
reptilian.
means for Facebook's
Go away
future
from me.
and what this means for us.
This 5G energy is gonna kill us all.
It's gonna get bad. But to understand why, we need to go back to where it all started. Kevin and Mike were seemingly normal kids with an affinity for coding. Although little was public about Mike's early life, Kevin, on the other hand, was particularly destined to work in tech. His parents were both from a corporate tech background, and Kevin spent much of his childhood gaming and designing his own levels. This early interest led him to study management science and engineering at Stanford.
Amazing.
And it was at Stanford that Kevin's sister would meet his fellow co-founder, Mike Krieger. During his studies, Kevin was exceptional, being accepted into the highly selective Mayfield Fellows program, where he would take part in an internship program at startup companies. One of these startup companies he would work at was called Odeo, later known as Twitter. However, Kevin's sister would only leave after a few months, but not until he made essential connections with Twitter's founders. It was these sorts of newfound connections in Silicon Valley that also meant he would cross paths with Mark Zuckerberg.
What's Silicon Valley?
He offered a job at Facebook, but declined the offer to instead study photography in Italy, which, to make clear, meant that Kevin Systrom had narrowly avoided jobs at two of the biggest tech companies. He had no idea on the missed potential, and instead of making billions, he would cash his chips in on studying photography instead. Something that would actually surprisingly pay dividends later on. And over the next few years, Kevin would work for a few different tech companies. He even spent some time working at Google, but his passion still lay in building something of his own. To many, it would seem like Kevin had missed the boat, turning down 3 separate dreams.
Okay, that camera panning just reminded me of that one meme. It's off topic, but it just reminded me of that. Like, should I do it? Let me see if I can. Let me see how it would look like. Like it would look like. Hold on. Like that camera panning. Wait, let me show it again, because this meme just dried out.
Building something of his own. To many, it would seem like Kevin had missed the boat, turning down.
That right there, man. That just reminded me. That just reminded me of like. Well, no, 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 no. Yeah, remind me of that meme right there, man. Why am I so big? I know why, because I did it. I did that. Okay, hello, I'm small again. It just reminded me of that. You can't see it, man? Look.
But his passion still lay in building something of his own.
Look.
To many, it would seem like Kevin
Did you not see?
3 separate dream jobs. We're talking about 2006.
Dream jobs, man.
The time that Facebook, Twitter, Google
were 2006.
just blowing up. And yet Kevin missed all of these opportunities. But what he would do next would more than make up for this. And so, following his passion, Systrom would want to compete with all these companies he worked at. But his first foray into entrepreneurship wasn't really a success by any means. His first business would be simple. Kevin would reconnect with his Stanford friend Mike, who was a professional software engineer. The two would then work together to build an app called Bourbon. Bourbon was a sort of check-in where users could post updates on where they had been and attach pictures. But this was more Kevin's hobby. This wasn't solving any problems. The market didn't need it, they didn't want it. and so the app failed to gain any traction, all to Kevin's dismay, because at the same time he was watching Facebook, Twitter, Google all rapidly take off.
Wow, that movie is crazy.
Left with nothing. And so after talking to some users, the co-founders would discover that people didn't really care about the check-in features or most of the other features of the app. Instead, people only exclusively used the photo sharing part of the app. However, because of the way that Mike and Kevin had built the app design,
the rise.
Investors were still impressed, with investors actually pouring up to $500,000 into the app, $25,000 of which coming from Kevin's former boss, Jack Dorsey. But even with this cash injection, Bourbon was destined to be
Titanic. What happened?
An app with 500,000 backing only had 100 users, with most of the users only preferring the photo sharing technology anyway. Kevin was faced with a crisis. What was next for the company? If this failed, he would lose all his reputation and the connections that came with it. He would be an embarrassment. All the opportunities he missed for this, the founders
What's with this Matrix music right now?
Should they preserve their current idea or throw it all away and start again from scratch?
Start again from scratch, man.
Pretty much no one's heard of Bourbon, it should be obvious what route they went down. But on this next venture, they would learn from their mistakes. Instead of trying to find a use for the current technology itself, they would instead find a problem that needed to be solved first. And so the pair worked on
Angry Birds.
best, the mobile photo sharing. At the time, the current way that people were sharing photos online was just full of problems. The main one being that uploading a photo would just take ages. And so the founders would solve this problem by beginning the process much earlier than other apps. Instead of starting the upload process as the last step, Instagram would instead start uploading the photo much sooner, which would lead to much quicker upload times. However, the biggest problem they would solve was that mobile pictures just didn't look very good. So the founders would come up with multiple solutions for this. First, they shrank the photos down to a much smaller square resolution, making photos look good on any phone, meaning photos on Instagram just seemed way more focused. This even helped with the upload problem.
That's why it looks like that.
Files, which meant quicker uploads. However, Kevin and Mike's other solution for the poor quality problem was their most ingenious yet. They would build photos into the new app, letting anyone give their photos a professional touch. And after 8 weeks of all this hype, the app was ready for release in 2010. The only thing they needed now was a new name, and they decided on Instagram. Within days of Instagram's release, it was immediately
Where did they make that name from?
That all their innovation Instagram was a smash hit. People absolutely
Telegram,
loved it.
telling people about stuff. Ooh, I'm making the connections right now.
1 million active users just 2 months after its release.
I know exactly why it's called that now.
Was then supplemented by
What's with my voice? My voice is so weird right now, man.
$1 million in funding in early 2011, with this funding coming from a wide variety of people. Some came from venture capital firms like Benchmark
They were
Capital,
just printing out
and
money.
others were the
That's
Instagram
crazy.
founders' connections from Silicon Valley, with Jack Dorsey being a notable investor. This whole deal would eventually value Instagram at about $25 million. Not bad considering it was only released about half a year ago, but this amount was pennies compared to what Instagram would become. Now that Instagram had established itself and was getting thousands of users every day, heads were starting to turn. Kevin and Mike were courting offers from numerous companies to buy Instagram, and the day-to-day work didn't pause for these deals either. Instagram required constant attention, especially because the founders didn't want to use an algorithm out of fear that it would be exploited. Instead, Instagram's small team of 12 would have to manually choose which photos were promoted on the platform. Whilst this was a stressful task, it ensured a certain level of quality on Instagram's homepage, and this hard work was paying off for Instagram massively. It seemed like the app had just unlimited potential. Firstly, the app had massive growth numbers. In June of 2011, around 8 months after its launch, Instagram had amassed 5 million users, which would go on to be 10 million just 2 months after. Instagram's growth was then further boosted by endorsements from some massive names. Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande were early adopters, and they would bring their millions of fans to the platform. Because of this, Instagram was becoming the king of Silicon Valley. Instagram was now posing a major long-term threat to big tech, namely Twitter and Facebook, which is why it did seem likely that Twitter would buy big tech, namely Twitter and Facebook.
Bro, he looks so mad in that one. That's kind of scary.
Which is why it did seem likely that Twitter would buy Instagram, considering Jack Dorsey's personal connections with the founders, along with his substantial investments in the company. Which is what made it all the more surprising when Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion in early April of 2012. But why did the founders choose Facebook over all the other suitors? Well, it's all down to the deal they got. The most important part of the deal was that Instagram would stay largely independent of Facebook, despite becoming a subsidiary. Facebook would also give Instagram large amounts of funding and would help them grow their business. Systrom and Krieger would also stay as CEO and CTO respectively, enabling the company to be uninhibited in its growth. On top of this, the pair would make hundreds of millions from the deal. They would never need to work another day in Systrom alone is estimated to have made a cool $400 million in cash. And early on, Facebook were good with their promises. Numerous new features were quickly added to the app, like video sharing and photo tagging, as both of these concepts were already in Facebook's interface and were likely funded through the deal. However, all of this didn't come without a big cost. At the time of the deal, there weren't really any concerns about Facebook gaining a monopoly.
Facebook 5. Oh no.
But Instagram and Facebook have an incredibly similar platform. This, coupled with the immense growth of Instagram, should have raised at least a few alarms. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey could see the real threat Instagram was posing to the social media space.
How?
However, the regulators somehow approved the acquisition without a second thought. Legal battles are still raging to this day about whether Facebook has a monopoly on social media. And we haven't even mentioned Facebook's ownership of WhatsApp, let alone the concept of the metaverse. Regardless, we'll get to these problems later in the video. But in the years after the acquisition in 2012, Instagram's growth would only continue to soar, hitting 50 million users in just 3 weeks after the acquisition, which would then rise to 100 million less than a year after that. But with this huge growth was also huge controversies that would mar Instagram's reputation. First, under Facebook, Instagram would update its terms of service, letting itself sell users' photos without paying the user or even telling them about it, which meant that Instagram now owned the millions of photos uploaded every day. And this was the first of the many sinister changes that came from Facebook's acquisition. But one issue had nothing to do with Facebook, and that was crime on Instagram. Just a year after Instagram's release, the platform is inundated with self-advertising drug dealers. As stupid as it sounds to broadcast your crimes on the internet, the lack of oversight from Instagram made being caught very unlikely. Image recognition technology was still very primitive, and Instagram had too few employees to monitor all of its millions of posts. In fact, back in those early years, there were only 13 employees running the entire site. This meant that the founders were almost powerless to stop the wave of crime on their own platform. They did try some half measures, like banning the hashtags related to drugs and drug dealing. However, these bans were easily circumvented. The criminals just made new hashtags instead. Another problem that the founders were facing was that these criminals' posts would often pop up in users' recommended feeds. And as these drug posts were often targeted
drugs?
teens,
I thought that was grass, man.
The worst affected. When asked about this in 2013, an Instagram spokesperson stated that, quote, "People can't buy things on Instagram. We are simply a place where people share photos and videos." And because of this attitude, nothing's changed. The consequences of this were then documented in a Vice documentary from 2021, which detailed how money launderers fish for victims through Instagram with posts advertising fast and easy money. Once desperate people take the criminals' money, they are often manipulated into riskier and riskier schemes, which often results in the victims going to prison, or worse, being caught by other criminals. Because when the banks do catch on and freeze the money, the victims often end up owing thousands to organized criminal groups. There's been a flurry of articles written just this year describing how easy it is to find these schemes. The Watchdog Tech Transparency Group reports that drug hashtags are recommended to users as young as 13 years old.
13?
They found that one new teen account they made only needed 2 taps to find an account.
I'm not even surprised, man. One of my friends is... No, man, I'm not even surprised anymore.
Although this is a long-term problem that's affected Instagram since its inception, but these sorts of problems would never stop its growth. And after the Facebook deal was closed, Instagram did seem to be in safe hands, which was true at first. Instagram had near full autonomy to develop into a social media giant, with the founders being free to do as they want with the platform. However, this of course wouldn't be the case forever. You see, Kevin Systrom had earlier stated in 2012 that there weren't any plans to turn photos into ads. But then just 1 year later, Facebook had forced sponsored posts onto the platform. This then came with a plethora of other advertiser-friendly changes, like letting advertisers see analytics on their posts. Now, the founders never really wanted to spam their site with ads, but Facebook did. Facebook needed to make Instagram profitable, which on the surface would sound reasonable, but eventually this would have dire consequences for the platform, consequences that were bubbling under the surface. But on the surface, everything did seem to be going great. Instagram was becoming profitable, and by the summer of 2016, Instagram had amassed 500 million users. However, inside the company was a conflict brewing, as this huge influx of users was both a blessing and a curse for the founders. Whilst it must have felt amazing to see the product you worked so hard on become a worldwide phenomenon, this newfound size would also bring its own new problems, because Instagram was getting dangerously close to outshining Facebook. Instagram was actually getting to a point that it was threatening Mark Zuckerberg's baby, which is why other social media integration was then stripped away from Instagram.
I thought it was like a literal baby. Never mind.
And in the following years, Facebook would continue to undermine Instagram's independence, with Zuckerberg forcing the founders to put more advertising on the platform, even though this was something the founders completely disagreed with. Because until now, Instagram had only allowed specific brands to advertise on the platform. This highly created choice of adverts
Lego, okay,
and in keeping with Instagram's brand. However, Facebook's system was much more profitable, which allowed the highest bidder to place whatever ads they wanted on the website, which would inevitably lead to lots of ugly, flashy adverts that would plague the platform. Not to mention compromising Facebook's algorithms. For the founders, this was unacceptable. It completely conflicted with Instagram's focus on minimalism and quality. And this was just one of the many problems that were now bubbling away underneath the surface. Civil war was brewing.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
A quick word from our sponsor, Honeygain. Passive income.
I'm poor.
Honeygain. Cash out when you part of making your photos.
Cash in, cash out, cash in, cash out.
Instagram's culture has slowly been morphing
Mental health.
into a
Okay, here we go.
itself. I mean, filters were built into the app from its inception, and they're still a huge part of making your photos better looking. However, it's also becoming very common for people to enhance their
that's what I'm
photos
saying.
in other less honest ways.
That's what I was pointing out earlier. What the? Why her hand bent like that? She's like, how?
Photoshopping was and still is everywhere on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's become so widespread that the term Instagram reality.
They take so much time just for one weird photo, man. Just for one photo. And it turns out to look so uncanny.
Very widely used nowadays. There's even a subreddit dedicated to exposing it going by the same name, and it has over 1 million subscribers. And you see, it isn't just photoshopping though. Instagram is full of people presenting a false idyllic life. And if
he's gonna turn to Giga Chad, man.
Fame, you can even buy a fake audience. As most of us know by now, it's incredibly easy to
like
buy
what?
accounts
Why?
as followers. Even celebrities do.
Bro, I've been offered. Speaking of bot accounts, I've been offered like 3 times. I'm pretty sure 3-4 times on stream. Like you can't see it because you can't see chat right now, man. But I've been offered like, oh, buy followers, How would you do that, man? What does that do? Gives you followers, crazy. The number doesn't mean anything, man. Like what's the point? Man. People just want to capitalize on everything, man, don't they?
It's estimated that Ariana Grande has over 65 million fake followers. All of
What?
these deceptions are aggregating into a massively unrealistic standard on Instagram. And the sad fact is that it doesn't really matter anymore that people are catching on to this. Even when you use the app and you understand that it's fake, it still massively affects your mindset and your mental health. If you're one of Instagram's 500 million regular users, then you'll always be bombarded with unattainable standards every single day, which leads to you subconsciously comparing your life to other people's perfect fake manufactured lives. Although this doesn't affect every single person in the exact same way, it is a proven effect. Out of the 5 major social media sites that young people use, Instagram is always rated as the worst for users' mental health. All of this due to Instagram's
behind TikTok,
toxic culture of perfectionism. And what makes this so much more disturbing though is that Facebook has been intentionally ignoring these problems, both on Instagram and on Facebook itself. For example, in late 2021, an internal presentation for Instagram and Facebook employees was leaked. The contents of this presentation and its implications were shocking. The presentation doesn't just show that Instagram is harmful to young people, but also that Facebook has done detailed research on its effects. One of the most damning statements it makes is, quote, Instagram is harmful for a sizable percentage of teens, particularly teenage girls. This was then backed up by graphs and figures which show just how deep this problem goes. 40% of teens found that Instagram made them feel unattractive, and nearly 30% of UK teens said that Instagram made them feel inadequate. The presentation also stated that teens know the awful effects that Instagram has, but felt compelled to.
She looks like one of the girls that goes to my preschool. Hold on. I'm dying. Okay. Wait, what does inadequate mean? I need to find that out. Okay. Inadequate definition. Okay, what does it mean? What does it mean? Not adequate to fulfill a need or requirement. Insufficient. Like not enough. Okay, I see. Makes sense. Okay.
To use it anyway, all because of Facebook's advanced
I got multiverses,
trapping its users in a vicious cycle where you end up searching for the next dopamine hit, where you start to feel left out and inadequate, only then to keep chasing the dopamine to get rid of this pain, chasing to see that you're not missing out today, that you might finally be doing better than others, and just like that, you're trapped in a virtual hamster.
It's so crazy how life is just about winning now, man. It's not about enjoying. It's not about having fun, having a good time. It's about winning. All these corporations doing weird stuff.
And you didn't even realize it. It's all programmed by.
Why do you have a ring light? It's a phone. Why do you need a ring light for it? People are making whole setups, whole rooms for TikToks, man. Bro, the only reason I have a ring light around you right now, man, because it was built in. It was built into your eyes, man. You have a light in your eyes. I could turn off your light right now. Whoa. Well, man. Where'd your light go, man? Where'd your light go? Wait, there it is. Wait. Okay, I fixed it. But I don't understand why need to do that, man? Why, man?
Facebook's advanced algorithms, and the best part is this is affecting all of us. And what's even sicker is that this doesn't even bring enough profit for Facebook. No, they need to exploit even more of the population.
Of course
they
do.
need to exploit the most vulnerable, which is why Facebook has been getting ready to release a version of Instagram for children under 13. This sinister move was only delayed by the leak of this presentation. Otherwise, it would have probably been released. Even though Facebook does know that Instagram is very unsafe for teenagers, Facebook knows that social media is the new smoking, which is why this
new
shows that Facebook doesn't care one bit about its users. They only paused the release of the Kids app because of the backlash. And once that dies down, I'm sure we'll see Instagram Kids release soon after. Soon enough, even your toddlers will be on Instagram, if they're not already addicted to TikTok.
Just had my first poopy.
It was Facebook's aggressive, money over everything push for more control that finally broke the two Instagram co-founders. The straw that eventually broke the camel's back was Facebook's stifling of Instagram's growth. Because to Facebook, it was becoming very clear that Instagram was poised to overtake Facebook in pretty much every metric.
And then when the Instagram Kids app is gonna be released, it's gonna be like a higher influx, higher rating of depression and anxiety because all these impressionable kids are getting affected by the Instagram thing, man. For a second there, it sounded like I was going a little crazy like I did last time, but no, this is actually serious this time, man. It's not about the 5G anymore, man. It's about the kids.
Zuck's worst fears
about
were
the
coming
children.
to life. Their biggest fears and the reason they bought Instagram was now manifesting, which was evidently enough to keep Mark Zuckerberg up at night with jealousy.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Facebook actually made the decision to limit the amount of new employees that Instagram could hire, all because they didn't want to hurt Zuck's dying baby. This would then put a massive damper on the company's growth. It simply wouldn't be possible for Instagram to accommodate new users with a small team of staff, which in some ways is actually a good thing. But for Instagram's internal team, this meant that they were always constantly overworked. This and all the other changes that Facebook was doing to the company led to the resignation of both the co-founders. It was never publicly stated why Kevin and Mike chose to leave Instagram. However, leaked documents showed that Systrom suspected that Zuckerberg was intentionally making his life miserable to try and push him out, all because Zuck wanted full control of Instagram. He didn't want Systrom running the company anymore. This was his plan all along. And so when the pair abruptly left the company, it was the final nail in Instagram's independence. Their unique vision for the company had been the key to its success. And whilst their departure left the Instagram team aimless, this wouldn't last for very long. Facebook and Zuckerberg were quick to consolidate their control of the app. It soon became clear that Instagram was to become a mere extension of Facebook. As if to rub salt in the wound, Instagram was even rebranded into Instagram from Facebook. With Facebook's takeover
from
of
Facebook,
Instagram
I saw
completed,
that.
there would of course be immediate consequences. Firstly, Facebook moved Instagram completely onto their ad model. This would then open the floodgates to data collection and data harvesting, causing Instagram to be filled to the brim with adverts. And these adverts would be fueled on Instagram's new data collection model, which leads us on to the second change that Facebook was quick to make, and this was to apply their uniquely awful data collection policy to Instagram. By doing this, it would only take 1 year after the founders left for Facebook to land in hot water for the treatment of their user data, with the whole scandal culminating in a $5 billion fine. And then, not long after this, a massive data leak on Instagram led to over 49 million users having their info exposed. The attack showcased Instagram's completely neglectful treatment of the private data they had been taking from their users. The breach contained lots of different types of data: contact info, profile
people still use this,
even
so
locations
doesn't
were
matter.
leaked, and around 1 in 20 Instagram users
4.49 million people just got doxxed, right? Just like that. It's crazy.
said to have been exposed. These leaks became all too common once Facebook had full control of Instagram, being a seemingly inevitable consequence of Facebook's policy of selling user data to third parties. But of course, Facebook isn't incentivized to change this policy either, because data is the core of Facebook. It's the one thing that led them to becoming a $1 trillion company. And breaches aren't the only problem with Instagram's misuse of data either. Again, in 2019, Instagram was exposed as having breached its terms of service after letting a marketing agency have access to data they said they'd keep private. The marketing agency
30 million
data from millions of Instagram posts to create a detailed picture of its key demographic. Again, the data included people's biographical and location info, where they worked, and their interests. And what's even scarier is that Facebook is the only company that knows the full extent of their data harvesting.
I think that's the only time I've ever seen him smile.
And this is why Facebook's growing monopolistic control over social media is a growing problem. This is what's so sinister about Facebook's constant expansion. I mean, we haven't even spoken about about how Facebook is doing the exact same thing with WhatsApp as it did with Instagram. And let's keep in mind
WhatsApp is dead, man. Come on.
Control, it now has 3.5 billion users on all its platforms. No one has this much global control. This is unprecedented. This is something that emperors and kings across history have always wanted. So how is Facebook gaining so much control? Well, it's because Facebook addicts its users.
No, the Pope is gonna get infected with 5G energy. No.
The platforms. It's addicting society to their services. I mean, naturally, Facebook wants its users to engage as much as possible with the content on their sites. And it turns out that people are mostly engaged with things that spark negative emotions rather than positive ones. This means that Facebook is incentivized to promote content that sows division between people. This is why we've become so divided in society, all of which was confirmed by ex-Facebook employee Frances Haugen. However, even darker is that Facebook isn't just content with their dominance over social media. They're not stopping until they have the whole online world in their grasp. This is why Facebook is rebranded to Meta and is now so invested in the metaverse. With the world moving online at a faster rate every day, having control over a whole digital universe will extend Facebook's control by an order of magnitude. Because not only will Facebook control your screen life, but Facebook will now have control of your entire life.
But hey, I saw an Oculus Quest video, man. Facebook, you don't need a Facebook account to log into an Oculus Quest. So I'm gonna get VR now, man. So happy. So just wait 2 years and I'll get VR, don't worry.
Your entire reality and society, which is why you can guarantee that Facebook's executives are licking their lips at the thought of further addicting the global population to their services.
Disgusting.
And considering Facebook's hyperfixation on profits, it shows that they know that this is the future, where everyone's not only looking at their screens, but living in an actual universe run by Facebook, controlled by Zuck himself. Because right now, Facebook's control over people is big, but it could soon become effectively unlimited. Facebook's plan right now is to extend their control way past anything we've ever seen before, and I'm starting to see this creep around. When I go on the tube in the London Underground, I'm now starting to see ads for the metaverse, which is why Instagram may just end up as a stepping stone on the path to Facebook's ever-increasing hold on society. I have a quick important announcement to make.
Same announcement. Oh my gosh, man. That's so crazy. It all leads back to the metaverse, man. All leads back. It all goes back to this, man. It's wild, man. Crazy. Yeah. All of that. I don't know if I'm gonna keep continuing reacting to these moon videos, because I don't know. I don't have much to say about them, clearly. You just see me, like, half the time just, like... I don't have really much to say, man. But at the same time, like, there's things that I need to tell you, man. So, I don't know. I'll just keep doing it for now, and I'll figure out what to do. But for now, man, that's the end of the stream. Not be right back, it's the end of the stream. But yeah, man, if you enjoyed... then let's go. Nice, good job. There you are, man, and see you next stream. Bye bye.